So I'm not able to normally record a video, and that is simply because my other phone that I use to record play Pokemon Go is still not replaced yet. So until then, we have a video right now. God bless. Hope y'all doing well. If you want to support me, you can go through my channel and check out my Patreon, where I do a video once a month, as well as I add people, first people to raids, and it's the best way to support me directly. I'm glad to be able to push out a video of some sort. We're going to be going over the best counters for Nihilego as well as Tapu Koko, because on the 19th, I believe, whatever's on the screen, we're getting Nihilego. The day after, we're getting Tapu Koko. So to prepare for these two Pokemon that are going to be coming that you want to catch, because in specific on what are the legendaries we're going to talk about, is going to be something you need to catch because it's going to be one of the best types as it's a legendary. So first off, we're going to go over Tapu Koko, and then later we'll go over Nihilego, and you're going to want to wait till Nihilego because it's insanely good. So Tapu Koko is an electric type. So one of the best things you're going to want is ground types. The best counter is Primal Groudon. And unfortunately, if you guys don't know, for the wild area event, we are getting Primal Groudon and Primal Kyogre. So unfortunately, if you do not have the Primal Candies, simply just use a normal Garchomp, or you can use other Pokemon that we're going to talk about. So number one is Primal Groudon, but we have Mega Garchomp with Mud Shot and Earth Power. We have Shadow Groudon, which I personally have a couple of these, but it is really difficult to get if you haven't caught it from years ago. We have Shadow Rhyperior, which is pretty decent, which kind of confuses me, to be honest, because I didn't think really you could get a Shadow Rhyperior, but there's that. Shadow Excadrill is number 4. We have Shadow Garchomp, which is really good, as well as the Therian Form Landorus, which I think is pretty interesting. So we're going to go over the last 3. We're going to go over 10, and then I'm going to go over some Pokemon that are going to be kind of those budget ones, the ones that more people are going to be more easier to get. So Mega Gengar is number 8. Normal Groudon is number 9, and then Nihilego, which we were just talking about how we're going to talk about that later, that is number 10. And that's crazy to say that Nihilego is number 10, just showing of how good it's a poison type, how good that is. But some Pokemon you might have, Duskmane Necrozma. This is a pretty decent one, mainly because of the Psychic Cut as well as the Sunsteel Strike. Sunsteel Strike is one of the highest attacks, so highly recommend having that. Rhyperior is a great Pokemon to use. Excadrill, and you can get Excadrills really easily from the Research Breakthrough boxes. So if you open those up pretty consistently, you'll be able to find an Excadrill from those. Mega Beedrill is a super easy Pokemon to get just because of how easy the candies are, from the research from the Pokestop. So, and the main reason is for the poison type attacks. Those are pretty decent. Naganadel, if you've evolved it already, that's pretty good. Thongwing's Necrozma is not bad either, but I mean, I'd much rather you use Duskmane since it's just more better than in this case. Normal Garchomp is pretty decent as well. Shadow Golurk, as well as Shadow Hippowdon. However, my biggest recommendations out of anything, if you want to go even more budget to what I was just saying now, just use ground type Pokemon, and or if you somehow do not have ground types, use poison types. Now, Nihilego, you're going to want to pay attention to this because Nihilego is one of the best poison types as an Ultra Beast, as well as it's just an insanely good Pokemon. So we're going to go over it right now. And by the way, both of these Pokemon can be shiny. So I highly recommend you do grind for this. And if you don't have ground types, well, you're going to need them because Nihilego is also a Pokemon that you're going to need ground types for, as it's showing right here. Primal Groudon, you see it again. It is the number 1 best Pokemon for Nihilego as well. And I want to talk about that once we get Primal Groudon and Primal Kyogre a couple days after these raids, you're going to want to grind them because, of course, during the Wild Area event, the 23rd into the 24th, not only are we going to get like the Dynamax raids where we're getting Toxapex and Toxel or whatever Pokemon are there, also getting the Palkia and Dialga, which I will go over counters for Dialga and Palkia tomorrow, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. But I will make videos for that, and I think you're going to want to do those raids, but the Primal Groudon and Primal Kyogre are so good in so many different raids that you're going to want to do those raids once they do come out. But remember, Primal Groudon and Kyogre do have 88,000 CP, which is just like a Mega Rayquaza, meaning it's going to take a lot of people, so just keep that in mind. Mega Garchomp is the second best against Nihilego. I kind of get Naganadel and Nihilego mixed up. Shadow Excadrill is number 3. Shadow Groudon's 4. Rhyperior Shadow is 5. Shadow Garchomp is 6. and normal Excadrill is 7. So the differences between the Koko and the Nihilego that we're talking about is the biggest thing. The most is just not the Therian form Landorus, since that Therian form Landorus is way better against Tapu Koko than it is to Nihilego. But some other Pokemon that you can use against Nihilego, and I want to talk about a lot of these because this is going to be way more of a Pokemon to worry about rather than the Tapu Koko. Because yes, Tapu Koko is a great looking shiny, but since Nihilego is such a good poison type, I want you guys to be super aware of this. So when Pokemon come out and they're really weak against Nihilego, you'll have a bunch of powered up and a bunch of good Nihilegos since you grinded during this event. So, you know, if I tell you, you know, when we do the raids on the stream and you guys are like, oh, I should have done Nihilego raids, warning you now. But some of the Pokemon that are really good, number 12 is Shadow Rhydon. Not even Rhyperior, just Rhydon. So with Rhyperior, you need a special, I'm pretty sure you can get it from Pokestops or from Breakthrough Research. You need a special item in order to evolve it. However, if you do a Shadow Rhydon, you don't need a special item. So that's why I think Shadow Rhydon is super important. And Shadow Rhydon is even better than a normal Rhyperior itself. So it costs you less candy to get Shadow Rhydon. All you have to do, though, is find the right Team Rocket grunt for it. So that is a really decent one to use, kind of a budget one. Shadow Golem is pretty decent. Shadow Donphan, and you're going to realize a lot of Shadow Pokemon, if you don't know this already, Shadow Pokemon are better than normal Pokemon. So you want to make sure you always grind grunts because you never know if you find the right Pokemon. For example, if you find a Shadow Donphan or a Golem or a Powdon. Shadow Mamoswine is the number 15th, and I always recommend Shadow Mamoswine. And in fact, I use Shadow Mamoswine for my ice type because it's a really good ice, rock type because it's a really good, and even ground type because it can be a pretty decent ground type if you don't have Pokemon like Shadow Groudon or Shadow Garchomp or some of those Pokemon like that. As well as normal Garchomp is pretty decent as well. We just talked about the Shadow one. Incarnate form Landorus. This is a whole different form of the Landorus than we talked about before. Is the number 20, so if you really need it, go for that. Normal Rhydon might be decent. Shadow Flygon is going to be pretty decent as well. And even this says number 29, so I wouldn't really recommend doing it, but if you for some reason don't have any ground types at all, use Primal Kyogre, because apparently it is the 29th Pokemon. But just like Tapu Koko, my biggest recommendations for you for the biggest thing for Nihilego is to just make sure you're using ground types Pokemon. The next couple days that I hope you guys do, since we are getting these raids in about 4 or 5 days, I believe, even it doesn't matter like what place you're in, 4 or 5 days. I want you guys for these next 4 or 5 days to do your grunts and to try and get as many ground type Pokemon as possible, because that is what you're going to need for not only Tapu Koko, potentially get that shiny, but to grind Nihilego, because like I said, Nihilego is a really good poison type, and you're going to want to grind it for when it comes out. So God bless, Jesus loves y'all. Thank y'all so much for showing up to today's video.